Okay, fam, you're right back into the React project lesson. My name is Nerd. Now, let's actually continue with what we did previously. On previous lesson, we actually created a basic way to actually create a to-do, right? So to-do application with React. So you can see this is the codes that we had. It's very basic and very simple. We had our storage here, simple storage here, using use states to kind of store our React data. Now, sorry, our to-do data. Now we created a simple inputs box. We didn't even add a type. Shame on me. All right, so we created a to-do input where we actually could input a data. So we anytime we type whatever we type, we store it inside our user input, and when we click on button add to-dos, it actually executes this on our behalf and add or append or push to the previous to-dos that we have. And then when we do that, we then later display whatever we have here. So we check the length. If it is greater than 0, that is, if we added one or more stuff, then we can, if it is true, then we execute by actually iterating over to-dos, which is an array, and we actually display the list of items here. Now, how do we actually make this so nice? How do we make it cool? That is what I mean is, how do we how do we actually add a nice, how do we make it very nice interface? I'm actually going to use Tailwind. So if you actually don't know much about Tailwind, I assume that you know much about CSS. So Tailwind is like CSS, but in a kind of nice way. You don't have to actually create a class like anything outside, any file outside to reuse it. Though at certain high level point you might actually go there, but come on, let us make it simple. So I'm actually going to take certain things out as we do not need it, right? So we imported image, we don't need it, and we keep everything here because we're going to use whatever is here. Cool. Now we actually going to change the design, right? We're going to change every import, try to add some validation. All right, we don't want to be able to add any empty stuff, right? If it is empty, we shouldn't be able to do any empty stuff right here, and we don't want the button looking like that as if it's part of it. So let's go straight and start working on it. So now we're going to create a div, right? Let me clear this. Let me take it to the top, and we keep it here. So I'm actually going to create a div. We all know what divs are, right? Cool. Now let me change this one to React. Sorry. Cool. So that we can easily work. Good. So I'm actually gonna hold Alt, then move everything inside of our div, right? So we have a div here, and inside of div we have everything set here. I want to increase, yeah, so we can now have it clear. Let me take this one out. Good. So we're gonna use class name here. I'm gonna say class name, and we can go by backticks. I don't know how to cover my backticks. I'm crying. I'm literally crying. Let me do the cheat. All right, cool. Well, let's just go by the normal ways. Cool. Now inside here, you can actually use your backticks. Like, I don't know where to find my backticks on my Mac. Shame on me though, but no problem. So we need these items to kind of be in line. We want the button to be here, right? So we're gonna use flex, right? It's simple. You just have to just say flex, right? Simple in Tailwind, and it will flex for you. And then we actually gonna hold space. Then we're gonna create a gap between the input box and the button itself. So we're gonna say gap maybe 5, and when you check it equivalently is like 1.25 rams, right? Cool. And then see is actually gonna create the space for us. Now the way things are appearing, we want to separate these ones from this one, right? Our input section from our actual stuff, right? So this is how I do my front end stuff. So what I do is I actually try to add border to it, border 2. All right, border 2. So that is how we're going to do it. And you can see the border is being created, but it's faint, right? We want to change the border color, so we're actually going to do border, then we actually going to say maybe black. So we're going to have it here, and we can see it's black, right? Cool. I like adding borders to whatever I'm doing, then later I remove all the borders. Cool. So now we've actually created this div, so I'm actually gonna come here into our UL, that is our list, and I'm actually going to say class name again, and I'm actually going to do flex. It's already flexing, but I'm actually going to make it flex. Then I'll say flex direction column. We want to switch it below, but we're just going to say flex core for flex direction column. Have you seen it? Cool. So we can see it remains. Then I'm actually going to create a gap between these two. All right. So I'm actually coming to I'll actually come into my main here, and I'll say gap, and I'll specify maybe 10. All right, 10 is actually 2. That is about 2.5 rem. Cool, guys. Actually, cool. Good. So now let's focus on adding a border 2 and border black. Right. Cool. So we have it, and we actually have a pattern. Okay, let's try to visualize this one also by adding border to border black. Right, and we can see we have it visualized here, and you can see there's a pattern here. There's a pattern, a huge pattern of 24 for the top. This is a pattern. This means pattern top and down, like pattern is 6 rem, which is very huge for here and here. It is okay, but our problem is with the items center. Right now everything is being centered, so this guy is actually kind of trying to act rough. Right, we're actually going to keep it like as it is, but we're actually going to make some adjustments here. Let us finish with the first one. So I'm actually going to edit my inputs, so I'm actually going to add the type of text here. Then I'm actually going to add a class name. Then this one is also going to be flexing. Everything is flexing, bro. Then we give it a border 2. Right, border black. We're going to remove it. Right, we want to actually separate it from everything. Right, so we're going to create an internal space. All right, we can see that it's actually attached to, so we're going to actually create the padding, right, inside padding, inside the main, this main guy. All right, so we're just going to create padding, and we want about 5, that is 1.2 RAM, and you can see there's a bit space inside. All right, cool. Now we're going to give it a background color, so we're going to say BG, and we're going to select any of them that we want. We're going to select white. Cool. White, like this. Cool. Now we have it, and we can actually give it a width. Let's give it a width of, how we go about the W of 100%. All right, so 100. So we're gonna specify our own value, so we're gonna say 100%. Right, cool. Say cool. All right, cool. So we've been able to extend our stuff 100%, like cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. But instead of doing this, all right, and we already have flex here, so we can just say flex 1. Now look at something. This is what happens, and we literally don't want this. This is crazy. You don't want this happening, right? Cool. So you just have to use the same value, that is 100%, right? Cool. Then it will actually extend. Good. So now we need to do the same thing to this one. So I'm actually gonna come here, then I'll say width, and we're gonna specify our own value of 100%. Now if you don't want to be doing this, right, you can just say width full, like this. and this is the same as 100%, right? With 100% like this, the same thing. You know what I mean? Yes. So you don't have to stress yourself that much with Tailwind. It is quite amazing. All right. So we spent like 10 minutes. Now we need to speed up. Cool. Now we need to actually adjust this thing to kind of take a bit of the space here. So we can tell it to flex 1, right? To take the remaining space. Cool. So we have our text box kind of trying to expand and taking the remaining space. Now the rest of the space is shared by this guy here, and we need to actually edit buttons. So we're gonna add this, and we literally gonna say border 2. We're gonna give it a border 2. You can see we're gonna give it a padding of maybe 5. No, x representing the x direction, like left and right, this side, and y is like the top and down, right? Cool. So we're gonna give it px to be 5, so you can see px to be 5, and we're gonna give it the py. We're gonna make it like 3, and you can see very nice, right? As it expands, this one also expands clearly, but definitely we might encounter a problem in future. So we're gonna say items center, right? So that we kind of item center. You see that item center here? Align item center, right? To align items in the center kind of way. And so we need to do the same to this guy. So we come here, we just have to copy and paste, right? So I'm gonna copy this guy, and we're gonna paste it here because I'm a lazy programmer. I'm cool with it, and we can see that we have our stuff loading up. Cool. So we're actually using box. I like using box stuff, right? And now we don't want this kind of edge. We want that kind of classy corner. So how do we do it? Are we gonna say border radius? No, we're not gonna do border radius thing here. We're just gonna say rounded, right? So we're gonna specify rounded as SM, small, medium, large, right? Whatever way. When we choose medium, this is how it's gonna be like. Oh, so cool, right? Cool, yeah, cool. So the next thing we're gonna do is let us finish with this whole thing that we come here, right? So let's add a shadow. Let's make this also rounded, right? And then we remove the box. That is how I do my UI stuff, and I'm always kind of in line. So everybody has his own way. So I'm actually gonna add a shadow. So we say shadow SM small, that is medium. So I'm actually gonna add it, and we have the shadow. You can see the shadow. So let's remove the border, right? Let's remove the border. Cool. And you can see the shadow. Ooh, so cool, right? So cool. Yeah, it's cool. So we don't want this solid edge, kind of sharp edge like a knife. We want it to be rounded. So we just quickly have to just make it rounded, and we're gonna make it large, right? Cool. That is it, right? Cool. Now this is a bit small, and this is bigger. It's okay, all right? Oh yeah, it's okay. So we're trying to create something nice here, and we actually not going to work with this insect guy again. So let's remove the border on the insect. So we're actually going to take it off. Take it off. Yeah, so we've taken it off, but there's a problem. It is missing, right? Do we want this kind of design? Do we want it like this? Probably not. We don't want that outline kind of stuff. So we don't want to take the outline out. So outline none, right? Cool. And it will take the outline out, right? Cool. So we want to just have this kind of empty space. Cool. So I drink tequila at 5 p.m. So boom, drinking tequila. All right, so probably might name this project Tequila Tidu, right? I've never tasted tequila before, but I have heard of the name, and people like it, right? So let's go on. So we've spent 40 minutes. Whoa, 40 minutes. Let's be quick. So we're gonna actually doing something here. We're gonna do something quite quick. We don't want this, guys. We want it to be nice, like a card, small cards, right? So how do we go about it? We don't have to worry much. We need to just give it a gap so that we have a gap in between the list of items. We want to actually space in these guys a bit. So we're gonna make a gap 5 and cool, a bit cool. It's too much. Let's make it 3. No, 4. Yeah, 4 is okay. But I don't know why. You see, these are the empty spaces that we had. Remember, we added some empty spaces, right? So for instance, we added empty space. You see, we don't want this, right? So we actually would regulate this, right? Yes. But now let's focus on trying to make our design stuff nice. So we come to the li, we're gonna do class name, and the next thing we're gonna do is we actually gonna create a border. Now let's be quick. So I'm actually gonna do bg white, all right. Always put it in a curly brace so that you can actually have a prediction, right? You know, this React stuff. If you get prediction, it's cool, especially those of you who don't know there are a lot of things you might not be able to keep in your mind, so you need that prediction. So you can see that we have all of them on board, right? We will regulate these things. Now we need to create perfect space, nice space, or nothing perfect but nice. So we make it p5. Cool. It is cool, right? Cool. That's quite cool. Nice. Now we need to kind of add some shadows. So we're going to say shadow, and we're going to make it LG, make it a bit bigger. Cool. So we're going to take our box. We're not going to take our box out. We're going to just create a pattern around it. We're going to make it 5, right? No, x5, and then py to be like 3, like that. Cool. And then we actually gonna take these guys out now that we're done with him, and we're gonna take this one also out because we're also done with this guy also. Now we have something kind of cool, right? Yeah, you know. So you can see we have this nice cool shadow like stuff, you know. Yeah, but we can actually keep these stuff on board, but we don't want this solid edges, so we can actually make it rounded, but not too much rounded. So we make it SM, small, right? Cool. Yeah, it's not that sharp. Yeah, so we don't want it to be cursor like this. We want it to be like pointer, a cursor pointer. So we come here and we say cursor pointer, and when we come here we can actually have that thing here. Now anytime we hover, we want it to kind of enlarge or kind of feel like it's being enlarged, right? So in that case we actually gonna reduce the shadow to like something like SM, and we have something small, right? The shadow being very small. Then anytime we hover, so we're gonna say hover like this. This is that cool. Tailwind is very cool, right? So we're gonna say shadow MD. Now you see how it is, right? If you do anything here, it's still gonna not apply with a hover, right? So if you want to, so let's take out the basics. So anytime I hover, you can see that. Ooh, cool, isn't it? Cool. Yeah, it's cool, bro. It's cool. So now we actually want to work on something. Let us reload so that we can take out the empty ones, and then let's work on the empty. So how do we work on the empty? Right, that is the question. How? Yes. So how do we go and work on the empty? Yeah, how would you know what is going on here? Okay, so in order to work on the empty stuff, we need to check something in here. All right, we need to check up something. Now we need to come here and write just a simple if statement, right? And we're gonna say if, right? If blah 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 add or not. All right, so we're gonna check if user input, all right, is equal to empty, Then, all right, return alert. Return an alert and say, bro, you can't, bro, enter something, bro. So we're gonna say, bro, you know, like a British accent, bro, enter something, right? Else, add the item, right? So we're gonna actually stop the person at the immediate effect. We're gonna stop the person from adding at all. You understand? So we're gonna say add, and we're gonna get, bro, something into something, bro. So you need to add something, bro. You know, hello, cool, cool, cool. And you see the hovering effect, so cool and neat and nice. That is tailwind for you. So you need not to hustle a lot. If you know a lot about CSS, then you are cool. So thank you for your time. We're actually going to be upgrading this over and over. Let me deal with this one quickly. Well, we can keep it, or let's do something nice. We spent like 21 minutes. This is crazy. So we're gonna do shadow. No. Whenever we hover, all right, we actually gonna create a shadow. So we're gonna make it MD medium. Cool. You understand? And let's change the color to teal. You know teal? Yeah. Background teal. Yeah. A bit quite deeper teal. So tailwind gives you that opportunity. Then we remove the stuff around it, the border around it, that it can be free. Boom. Alright, but you and I do not like this, right? We need to create a shadow. Alright, we need to create a shadow around it. So let us kind of make it shadow. LG. So we kind of have a bigger shadow, alright, beneath it. So anytime we press it, it's like you're pressing, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So thank you for your time and everything. We'll go on the next lesson. Meet ya.